I just thought it was time for me to move on. And I'm very, very thankful to Dayton, to the organization for having confidence in me to come and try to revamp, awaken the offense. I think we did that to a degree, but I think all in all, Pedro has done a fantastic job. The players have taken to Pedro in a great manner. It was time for me to resign as hitting coach. It was a tough decision. I enjoyed it. I got a chance to know a lot of these players on a more day-to-day basis. But it was just time for me to sit with Dayton in the suite again, rather than travel around the country and do what I was doing. The Royals go on the road for 10 days. They played 9 games. The next homestand, I will be here. I don't know how many days. I don't know how long we're in town for, but I will be here. I'll be in uniform, pregame. Get here at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, be in the cages, doing the same thing I was doing. Throwing batting practice on the field, much like Jason Kendall does now. Come out here and be a part of the organization. Once the game starts, I'll be sitting with Dayton again in the box. But I'm looking forward to it, and it's been a tremendous, tremendous experience for me after being gone for 20 years in the game to have an opportunity again to put on a uniform. It was special. When I retired, I had 1 son, and the next year I had 2 sons, and the next year I had 3 sons. And when the kids were young and before they started school, and I would call Herc Robinson and say, I need to get out of the house. Send me to Wilmington. Send me to Omaha. Send me to Wichita. Send me someplace. I need to get out of here. And then all of a sudden, when the kids got a little older, I wanted to be around them a little bit. And now I have 2 kids in college, 1 in high school. So I think my schedule will be a lot freer, where Dayton has suggested I do the minor league trips again. And I would do that in a heartbeat because my kids are now gone. And I asked Fred before he went to the British Open, I said, Fred, how come you never helped me with my golf game? He said, George, I know my swing. I don't know your swing. I would rather be a good player than a good teacher. And I found out that I was a better player, in my opinion, I was a better player than I was, a better hitter than I was a teacher. They say, and I said this in St. Louis, those that can do and those that can't teach. Thank God I could, because it paid a lot more. We have cages, we have video, we have all this stuff. I don't know anything about video. I don't know anything about all these soft toss drills. Dayton was just in the cage with Alex Gordon and myself and Pedro, and they were doing side toss drills. I've never seen that before until about 4 or 5 days ago. I said, what does that do, Dayton? He said, I don't know, but I've seen it before. Alex Gordon says, I did that in college. Well, we didn't do those things. So Pedro is a hands-on guy that has drills and drills to get these guys to get to a swing where we felt they needed to be productive everyday major league players. And he's been the architect behind a lot of it. You ever traveled for 162 days with a Major League Baseball team, you'd say this is the stupidest job in the world unless you were a player. Unless you were a player. I'm not a player. I didn't mind it when I was 20 years old. I didn't mind it when I was 35 years old. I started minding it when I was 39 and 40, the last 2 years I played. And now I'm 60. And I was trying to do that life again, and it was just very difficult for me. I was coming to a lot of the games, sitting with Dayton, and we were so frustrated up in a suite. I was so frustrated watching it on television. And finally, Dayton's level reached that frustration level, and he called me. And the next day, Ned's frustration level called me. But I think what happens when you're having trouble scoring runs, and I'm sure Rex could attest to this, and guys that have played the game of baseball, is when you're not scoring runs, everybody tries too hard, and it becomes mental. Standing on the on-deck circle when I was 20, 21 years old, and they had a tough left-hander, Sparky Lyle, or somebody like that warming up, and I'd be on the on-deck circle, and I'd say, man, I hope they don't bring him in to face me. Sure enough, they did. I had no chance. And it wasn't until I became a good hitter is when I started saying, bring him in. I want to get him. And all of a sudden, I put myself in a position to succeed. And we say that a lot to these guys. We say it a lot to them. He's gotten you out in the past. Tonight's your night. Let's go.
Is this a two-person job?
It wasn't until today. A lot of teams have one hitting coach. If you have two hitting coaches, they better be blessed. The general manager, and the players better be blessed that they think a lot like Pedro and I. The worst thing you could have is two guys that butt heads and think differently. I'll say my goodbyes. I told Alex Gordon yesterday, and it was a good time to tell him because he's been struggling, and I tried to get him to do some things yesterday, and he didn't like it, so he's probably glad I'm retiring. The fans have always been great, and I've always respected them, and nothing would make me happier is to make this team help be a part of Dayton's team and Mr. Glass's team and Ned's team to bring a championship back to this town. Nothing would make me happier. It's been too long.
What do you got coming up? Cooperstown?
No.
Not going to be able to go?
No. When the team's on the road, I'm going to go to a ranch that my family owns in Idaho for 5 days.